Alright everyone, welcome to another video. Now I want to start off by saying excuse any noise you may hear in the background. My neighbors are moving and they're being quite loud. I've got an old house and thin walls, so if you hear any noise, that's probably what it is. Now let's get started. So today's video, I had a bot idea yesterday based off of a comment someone posted in a bot suggestion group on Telegram. And that kind of started me down a rabbit hole of ideas. They had asked if there was a bot for converting stickers to JPEGs and allowing you to download them. And the only suggested bot was something that requires a subscription that you have to pay for, and obviously not an ideal solution. So my thought was, hey, this could be a perfect opportunity for me to create something useful. So I started looking at what resources are available in Crystal currently for image manipulation, and there's just not much out there. So I decided to create my own. So that brings us to this library, Pixie. This is forked from another project. So if you go down here at the bottom, big shout out to Mattia. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but big shout out. They created the base of this library in... if we go here to libs, go to magic, all of this work was done by them. I feel like some of this might have been auto-generated, but at the same time, there's a lot of comments and stuff in certain places. Everything's split apart. It's perfectly possible that it was hand done and fairly well done. So shout out. It's made my bindings a lot easier. And so what I'm attempting to do with Pixie is make a kind of R-Magic or mini-magic type library for Crystal. If you're familiar with the Ruby solutions, R-Magic and mini-magic are two image magic libraries that use the CLI interface of image magic. Pixie, on the other hand, is using C-bindings, which should improve speed a little bit. You don't have to deal with the TTY interface. And yeah, so you can see it's pretty easy to use. Right now, we only have support for image sets, not individual images. That will be coming soon. There's also no support for like creating image or creating pixels or like color sets and like changing colors and setting colors and everything without using the raw C interface. But that will be coming. I just started working on this library yesterday, and let me tell you, go into Pixie image set, which is where most of my work has been. This file is 26.8 kilobytes and 735 lines of code, not counting white space. So yeah, it's massive. Luckily, most of it was just a direct binding to libmagic. Its bindings are actually pretty decent, and I didn't have to do a ton of work there. But some of these things you can see, like for read image, for like reading an image buffer, I had to do a little bit of extra work to make it work with like bytes and an IO. For some of these things, like to normalize types, I'm outputting C-longs to an I32 instead of whatever they'd normally be, which I think is maybe an int64, maybe a U32 or something. But yeah, lots of stuff here. So let's get into it. We're going to be using Pixie and Tourmaline together to create a bot that is capable of doing simple image conversion and manipulation, and then as time goes on, I'll add things to it. But right now, we're just going to get the basics that we need up. So jumping into Vim here, I've already got a project started. If you haven't checked out my previous videos in this series, I'd do so if you want to kind of follow along or anything. In both of the previous videos, I kind of go over the setup of a bot, getting configured with BotFather, everything. So check those out if you need help in that regard. Only real change here, I've got Tourmaline, but I've also got Pixie added, and shards have already been installed, as you can see, with the lib directory here and the shard.lock. So let's jump into this. So as you can see, I've already got a start command set up, and we're going to create a couple of base commands. So we've got a start command, and we're going to have a help command. All right. And to start out with, let's say we want a convert. We want the ability to start out with, we just want the ability to take an image and download it as a specific format. So in order to do that, how do we want to name this command? We're just going to call the command convert for now. All right. And the convert command needs to be either with an image or in reply to an image. Later down the line, as we continue to add different commands, I'm going to make this convert command maybe the entry point, which will allow you to like select a new image to start a process with. And then we'll have maybe a like a download command in order to actually download the image. But right now the convert command is just going to take that image and convert it into whatever format you specify. So something I am going to need is a list of possible formats that you can download, because we want to be able to limit the formats that they request, just so that we don't get any errors with them putting in a format that that isn't acceptable. So let's make a constant here, a hash of formats. Do we even need it to be a hash? No, we don't. Just make an array of formats, and we're going to have JPG, JPEG, PNG, and WebP. So those are the formats we're going to accept right now. I actually am not completely sure about WebP, but I'm sure that ImageMagick supports this. It's a pretty well-known format. So those are the formats we're going to accept right now. Let's add a comment here. Acceptable formats for conversion. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is grab the format from the context, which it should be the only thing in context.text. T. Context.text should just be the format. So we're going to say format ctx.text.strip. And the strip command is going to remove any leading or trailing white space from the command. And now we want to say if or unless, because we can do that in Crystal, unless format in formats. As you can see, in isn't being syntax highlighted because this is actually brand new to Crystal 0.32 or 33. I think it was added in 32. But this in allows us to do a very Python-like thing and check that this is in this. We could also do formats.includes format, but I prefer this interface better. Hopefully I'm not wrong. I'm pretty sure that this is how this works, but I'm not completely used to it yet. And why don't we actually downcase this as well, just to make sure that if they type in like PNG all uppercase or PNG or any derivative of that, let's make sure that that works. So unless format in formats, we're going to return ctx.reply invalid format. Format must be one of, and then we're going to do formats. Yep. Come on, Vim, don't betray me. Formats.join new line. And I just realized I never increased the font size, so let's make things a little bit bigger for you. Okay, so what must be one of? Let's give it a new line here, and then formats.join new line. So if they do not give us a proper format, we're going to return this error message. Now, we need to make sure that there is some kind of media attached to this message. It can be a reply, it can be like directly in the message, it could be in a forwarded message, but there needs to be something to convert. It could be a sticker, it could be any number of things. So we need to do that. To figure that out, let's go look at the docs. So we need the documentation for message, because that's what we're getting. And if we go down here, message.media, media group, photo. There we go. So message.photo should contain, it's an array photo size, and the array photo size has a collection of like file IDs and unique IDs and everything. And so if we open up a Telegram bot API and we go to available types, message, photo, array photo size, and then we're going to need to download this photo. We're going to want to get the biggest photo size and download it as a buffer, apply our conversions to it, and re-upload it. Good thing is, we never actually have to download the image to the server. Or at least we shouldn't have to. So if we go down here to available methods, you can see we should have a get file method, which is what we're going to be using for actually downloading the file, and it takes a file ID. Oops, I did not mean to press that. There we go. Over here, back in here, get file. You can see that our client has a get file method with a file ID. I do want to be able to pass in a photo size into here eventually, but we can make this work for now. So, what do we need to do? For now, let's say, just to start out with, that they have to send a message with the photo and attach the command to that. That's going to make things a little bit easier. So we're going to say photo equals ctx.message.photo. Say unless photo, and actually photo is going to be an array, so unless photos.size is greater than 0, because I'm pretty sure we return an array photo size. Let's see, I can actually check this in the source. See, even when you build a library like this, if it's a super big library, you're going to be checking your own documentation all the time. So photo, yeah, we default it to an empty array. And this is so we don't have to do nil checks, which is nice. So we're getting an empty array if there is no photo attached. So we're going to say, yeah, unless photos.size is greater than 0, please all right. So now we know that we do have a photo inside of photos. So we want to get the biggest one out. And how do we do that? Well, let's go back to photo size really quick. Information. Oh, wait, what did I click on? That's not what I was looking for. Photo size, thank you. What the heck is going on here? Okay. My trackpad messes up all the time and I click things I don't mean to, and it seems like things are messing up on me, and really it's just me. Photo size has a file ID, which we're going to need, has a file size, a height, and a width. Now, we could check one of two things. We can check the file size, or we can check the height and the width, or either or, really. The bigger file size is obviously going to be the bigger file in this case, because it's just a thumbnailed version, or like all the different sizes are just going to be like thumbnail versions of the file. So we can just check the file size, and we're going to get the biggest one. So we're going to say photo equals photos dot, and I want to, how are we going to do this? There's a couple ways that I can think of to do that. Now, chances are the first one in the array is going to be the biggest one, but I don't want to do that. There's select, which I also don't think is the best option here. And of course, array actually, like, this isn't the best place to look. It's probably iterable or enumerable. Max of, max by, it's probably going to be one of these. This isn't something that I use a lot. Returns the element for which the past block returns with the maximum value. Max by, that is what we want. Actually, max of is what we want. No, max by, because we want the full element returned. We don't just want the biggest size returned. So we're going to use max by here. And actually, I think this is the first time that I've ever used this method before. And we want the file size, I think is what it's called. Yeah. So if you're not used to Crystal, which I highly recommend you get used to Crystal, because I'm going to be doing a lot of videos on it, this syntax right here is shorthand for this. F dot file size. So in this case, it's not saving me a ton of typing, but it's just nice. I like the syntax personally. I think it works well, and it's just short, simple, to the point. So that's going to give us our photo, and now we have our file ID and our file unique ID. Returns a file unique ID, unique identifier, which is supposed to be the same over and over. Can't be used to download or reuse the file. This is used to download or reuse the file, so that's the one that we need to pass into get file. So now that we have our photo, I like to kind of test as I go with these kinds of things. So what we're going to do is just log it out to the console. And that's all we're going to do. And that's going to make sure that what we've got here currently is going to work. Let's go ahead and see if this even builds, if I have any syntax errors. So do crystal run source pixiebot.cr. I already have the API key stored as an environment variable, so that I don't have to worry about showing you guys or blurring it out. So that's why I'm not adding the API key equals prefix here or anything. Let's see if it builds. And of course, no. Undefined method in. So I could have sworn that that would work because I remember it being added. Okay, well, we're not going to worry about it right now. This is an easy thing to circumvent. So instead of this, we're just going to do formats.includes format. And that should work. So let's go ahead and go back here, run this again. See if it works, which it looks like it's going to. Look at that. Oh, I've still got, why is that outputting that? Because this is Pixie installed from here. I don't have that file here. I do still have this here. Oh, that's why. So even though it's not, That's a quick fix. Let's go ahead and fix that really quick. So, hey, guess I didn't really think about that before pushing this, but let's go ahead and push that to the server. Then we'll come back here. Run shards update. And hopefully that worked. If not, I'm just gonna have to remove some things. Something that's important to note here before we go any further. Pixie, like I mentioned, is bindings to ImageMagick 7. This means LibMagick Wand needs to be installed, or like if you're on Arch, just installing ImageMagick will work. And package config must be available. This is Crystal uses this behind the scenes to compile when C bindings are used. So if you're following along, make sure to have those things installed. Okay, good. Got rid of that debug output. We're pulling for updates. Let's go ahead and open Telegram. We're going to hide that and start. Look at that. It's working already. If I run help, we should see our help message. Beautiful. If I run convert by itself, nothing happens. Interesting. Why is that? Did I spell something wrong? I'm dumb, that's why. Okay. So, yeah, if you don't want to include a prefix here, there is the ability to set a custom prefix if you want to, by specifying the prefix argument here. I could set this prefix to whatever I want, but I don't want to do that. I just want the standard / bot command prefix. So let's fix that really quick. This would have run fine if I would have done a double / with the command, but yeah. So if I do convert by itself, invalid format. Format must be one of JPG, JPEG, PNG, WebP. Okay, and now if I do convert, but I don't supply an image, please send a photo to convert along with the convert command. Okay, so that's all well and good. Let's find an image to convert, why don't we? Actually, probably should have thought of this before starting the video, but let's just download something. Telegram logo. How about that? That's something nice and simple. This is a very JPEG'd logo already. Look at all that. All those artifacts. Beautiful. All right, let's go back. Let's copy it in. Convert. Oh, and of course, surprised actually. So that didn't do anything. So for some reason, it's not replying with that I think I know the problem. So this is coming up as a caption instead of the image text. So you can see the caption is down here. So instead, what happens if I just send this by itself, reply to it with convert? Yeah, okay, that's because it's in the reply to image message now. So, isn't it fun debugging things and figuring this all out? So there's two things I could do right now. I can either look in the caption for our message, or I can go ahead and just have them send a file and then reply to it. That is going to end up being the simpler option here, so that's what I'm going to do. So instead, what we need to be looking at, sorry about that, is the reply to message. A reply message, which is part of this, returns a message. So let's make that our first check. Let's say if message equals ctx.message.reply message, then we're going to go do this whole thing. All right. Yep. And then we're going to say else. So we don't need to return from here. ctext.reply. All right. So that's what we're going to do. And then we don't need to do, well, we do still need to do this. We don't need to do that anymore, but we do need to make sure that the message replied to contains a photo. We still need to check the format, so this is good. We should probably check... Yeah, let's go ahead and check the format first. Check this. Output the photo. Alright. See if this builds, which it should. Good, it's building. Alright, so now we have this. Convert. Let's convert to PNG. We're not receiving a response, and we did receive a response here. So far so good. Let's go back in here. So now we have our photo. We have the biggest photo. Now we need to get that file. So let's go back here and see if I have a method on message for getting the file, which I don't think I do currently. There's a lot of replies. Nothing for getting a file from a message, though, so we need to get this from the client itself. Why are there two here? They're both on Tourmaline client. Oh, let's get file link, which is not what we care about right now. So get file takes a file ID and returns a file object. So we want to say if file equals ctx.get file photo dot, and was it file ID that's yeah, So that's what we want. So that returns a file object. If we go up here and grab the documentation for the file object, gives us an ID, path, file size, file unique ID. Let's take a look at the documentation for get file as well. Getting available methods, get file. On success, file object is returned. The file can then be downloaded via the link https://api.telegram.org file.token file path. Right, because it gives us a file path. I'm almost positive that I have a, well, once again, in the wrong documentation. Okay, I don't have a download. Oh yeah, but I do have the get file link method. So I need to consolidate these. This is a good thing for me because I'm figuring out things that I need to fix with the API. So we're going to do file link is going to be ctx.get file link file dot, and we need the file path, which I actually don't know why this is optional. But we're going to roll with it. We know that this file is going to have a path, so I'm going to do something that you should not do as much as you can, and say not nil dot path dot file path dot not nil. So that's going to give us a downloadable link to the file. Now at this point, we need to go up to the top here, and we're actually going to need to require HTTP client. This is built into Telegram. And this is what we're going to use to download the file. So if we go over to the HTTP client documentation, all we need to do is use the get method here, get the link, and we're going to be saving the body as a buffer, basically. So say response is going to be http client.get file link. And this is a good time to do another test and make sure that everything we're doing is working correctly. Undefined method file path for string. What did I do? ctx.getFile. I'm confused because this should not be returning a string. Why is it returning a string? That is the right place, right? If file path equals file.file path. Oh. This is in Tourmaline client itself, core.cr319. Well, hope you guys are learning, because we're going to go into Tourmaline now and make a fix here. So client core, get down to line 319. Get file link file. Oh, it expects us to pass in an actual file. Never mind, so it's not a bug. It's just a problem with me. So I don't actually want to pass in the file ID. I just want to pass in the photo itself, which is a file. Files up, file path. Why is it still saying the same thing? It should not be saying the same thing. Sometimes Crystal's cache causes issues. So let's make sure that that's not causing the problem here. It's not. File path equals file path. This is where it's complaining, right? Let's do a full error trace so that we can get backtrace here. Client.get file link string. Oh, right. Duh. Because we're also, we're passing the file in here, and that's not what we want. So let's make sure while we're at it that I've got the right API for get file. So, get file, nope, not fit. That is expecting a file ID though. And let's just verify that in the source and make sure I didn't just forget to change file ID. Well, that's not loud. Get file, file ID. Okay, yes. So we are expecting a file ID, whereas get file link is expecting a file. File link. And file link is also potentially returning nil, so we need to check out for that as well. So this is where I'm going to make sure that the compiler knows that that's not going to be nil. Let's see if this runs. What do you know, it's working. All right. Bugs out of the way. Let's go ahead and convert PNG and get our output. Look at that. There's our body. That is what we need to convert into our buffer. Now, luckily, I put the effort in to make it so that we can just use an IO or we can use bytes. So it's going to come down to whatever's easiest for this. And to be honest, both are pretty much equally easy when converting from a string. So if we go down to slice, which bytes as an alias for slice uint8, which is what a string is underneath. So slice doesn't have a constructor that converts to a string, but string does have a toSlice method, which returns bytes, which is a slice. So this is what we're going to use because this this avoids unnecessary new memory allocations and everything, which is definitely the preferred way to go. So let's go back in here. We're going to say buffer response.body.toSlice. And that's going to give us our image buffer. let's go ahead and put an else condition in here really quick. So if we're able to get the file, otherwise we're going to just return an error message. We're going to say return ctx.reply failed to get file for some reason, and just return a frowny face because we're sad because we failed and we don't like to fail, right? All right, so we have our buffer. We did it. We've gotten this far, and what a journey it's been, right? So now we get to go look at the Pixie API, which there is no API documentation yet. What we want to do is pretty simple, though. We want to create a new image set using our buffer instead of a path. So, just going to copy this in. And we're going to replace this with our buffer. Now is the part where we actually are going to have to save this file locally. I forgot that I don't currently have a way that I know of to output a new buffer. No, you know what? I think I'm wrong. So if we go into the source here for Pixie, go to image set, we can actually set the image format here using whatever format was supplied. And then when we call buffer, bytes, blob, that's what it was. So image blob returns new bytes from the image, and those bytes should theoretically be what we're looking for. So image format equals, so set.image format equals format dot uppercase, because I'm pretty sure it expects the format to be in all caps. And then we're going to say blob equals, and image blob. So set.image blob. Okay, and if this was successful, let's go ahead and we don't want to pretty print this because it's going to end up being like thousands of lines long. We just want to print out the full blob. If this worked correctly, though, which I don't see any reason. Oh. Okay, so I messed up on line 102, which is this. Oh, yeah. So I had a size variable that's no longer there, which means that we need to go back in here and update something again. So image set 102 here. So rather than giving a pointer of size, we're going to create a new size variable, which is going to be self dot let's see. Size in this case returns the number of images, which is not what we want. could have sworn I had a byte size method though. Whatever. All of those methods are near the bottom. So let's see. We have size here, which is not what we want. Oh wait. No, never mind. I'm thinking of something else. Size and images. Tint image, full image, size. So many methods here. Like this took hours. You got resize, you got read image. I mean, any method is going to have size in the name, right? So bytes.size, input.size. That's what we're working on right now. Image byte size. That's what we needed. Okay. Let's go back. Oh wait, no. Size was not what we needed. Image blob. Image byte size. That's what we need. And then instead, we need to do that, that. Theoretically, that should work. So let's go ahead and fixed image blob. And of course, we're going to need to come back over here and do shards update again. Fetch the newest version here. And attempt to run this. Oh, yay. It really would help things if I just referenced my local version of Pixie in here. That way I don't have to keep doing commits that may or may not work. But, you know what? Whatever. We're just trying to make things work, right? So, sorry, I forgot what that error was already. It needs to be a pointer uint64, not uint32. Crystal's type system is helpful. It's helpful. So 2, U32, no, U64. Right. uint64, not int32. All right. Please don't judge me on my Git messages. It's frustrating to be dealing... What? Argument length of... Oh, duh. Don't forget to run shards update, folks, if you change something in a library. What do you know? Here we go. And this is why we debug as we go, because I don't want to deal with a ton of those errors. So let's run convert PNG, going back here. Look at that. Those are all the bytes in that image in PNG format. Or at least it should be. I could compare, but I compare versus the original or versus JPEG or something, but I don't want to do that. Who's got time for that? Okay, so we have bytes. Raw bytes. Now, we need to send those raw bytes back to the server as a document. So how are we going to do that? Truth be told, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. So if we go look at, let's not do that. Once again, running into trackpad issues. Tell ya, I love Arch, but the software and hardware issues sometimes you just want things to work, especially when you're in the middle of recording a video. This is going to be a long video already. I apologize for the length, and thank you if you've stuck with me. Make sure to thumbs up, subscribe. So, back to available methods. This time we want to send file. So, and actually we don't just want to send a file or send a photo, we want to send a document. So document takes an input file or a string. Input file is a beast, but suffice it to say we should be able to go check Tourmaline, say send file. No, send document. That's what we want. Now send document, we can do it directly on the chat, or we can do it on the client. We're going to look at the client documentation. Okay, so it takes a chat, document, caption, all fairly simple. Now, unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, there's no way to create a file directly from a buffer. You can write a buffer to a file, but I don't think I need to do this anyway. Let's try just sending the buffer itself as the document and see if that works. So we're going to do ctx.send document. Oops. My page up, page down buttons being right next to my arrow keys gets annoying. Of course, if I was using HJKL like you're supposed to be with Vim, that wouldn't be so much of an issue, but it's taking a while to get me to adopt that. So we're going to do ctx.chat.sendDocument, because we want to send the document directly from the chat, so it includes the chat ID by default. We don't have to include that here. So that chat argument is off the table. We just need to send a document. And the document we're going to send is the blob. And let's see if this works. If this does, awesome. We are basically done with this video. If it doesn't, which it's not. So apparently blob is not a valid argument to send a document. Slice, uint8. Where does it break down? Okay, so breaks down in here. Let's go check really quick my I do have some example bots here that send images. So for instance, media bot right here. Okay, so we've got a URL. We can send from a URL, which is not something I care to do. We can send from a file directly. But so far we don't have the ability to send a raw buffer, so I can add this to the checklist of things to add. because I don't want to have to create a file and then open it and then send that file and then delete it, but that's exactly what we're going to have to do right here. So let's do that. We're going to go ahead and remove that. And so what we're going to do is create a temporary file, which you can do with file.temp file. Prefix, suffix, these arguments are all unnecessary. So we're going to do basically this. So we're going to say file.temp file. Nil, and we're going to do dot the format. This isn't quite necessary, but I'm doing it for aesthetic reasons, I guess. Do file. And we're going to say file equals. And then we're going to... Now, it's important to realize that these things are scoped. So file is being defined outside of this block, but file is also being defined inside this block. And so that latter file is the one that takes precedence right here. And so we're going to send the blob to the file, which technically, as file is an IO, I actually don't think that that is what I want to do. Writes the given object into this IO. I don't know if that will work or not, but I do know that I can write a slice of bytes to the IO using write bytes. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to keep the byte format normal. Write the given object and write bytes. This method is actually a little bit misleading. So it actually writes a number as bytes, which is not what we want. We just want write. So we want to do file.write blob. And then outside of here, we're going to say ctx.chat.send send to document, and we're just going to send our file. All right. Let's see if this works. And it's not, because temp file is an undefined method. What? File.temp file. Oh. So here's an issue that I still need to fix with Tourmaline. That is a big issue with potentially a lot of bugs. Tourmaline redefines file. There's a file object, and because of that, Crystal's file type is not accessible from within a method that imports or includes Tourmaline. So what we have to do is do this in order to reference the outer file scope. It's a small thing, but it's pretty annoying and can be really confusing for anyone new. So it's compiling, which is great. And if I do convert PNG, error, closed stream. Well, that's not good. So what's the issue here? That's not something that I've seen before. I can't imagine that that this is causing the issue, because that should work. Let's return the output of our file. Make sure that we're getting past that and that it's not throwing an exception or something that we're catching somewhere, which it shouldn't be. I'm pretty sure I don't have any exception handling in place. We're going to go ahead and delete all of these so that we can get back to our image. Okay, it did create a file. And if I run open, apparently there's no open command, and I don't have Ranger installed. Trying to think of how I can open something from the command line really quick. Let's do Thunar. No, it's just gonna open it in GIMP. Whatever. So we do have an image being saved. So theoretically this should be working, but it's not. So let's go take a look at this again. Replying with... In all of these cases, we're using reply with, which I should actually use instead. It makes a little more sense. So, reply... Oop. I don't know what happened there. Reply with... Now, it's possible that it's just an issue with my document handling and that files work fine and that this is just a bug and I'm just going to have to send photos for now, which isn't ideal because Telegram provides does some compression and stuff, and we just want to send the raw image. Gonna get rid of that. I'm really hoping that I can get this working on the stream, but obviously there are some things that I need to fix inside of Tourmaline. Keep in mind, it's just been me using this library. Okay, so that broke again. Let's see if reply with photo works, or if it's a problem with the temp file, or it actually could be. I think that, yeah, that's the error I'm getting. Duh. Oh. Okay, this is what we're going to do. So this block is causing issues. So what a block does with a file.open or temp file, creating a new temp file or whatever, is it just keeps the file descriptor open for the duration of that block. And then when that block is closed, the file is also closed. The file will still exist inside of the temp directory until you delete it. But the file, as far as Crystal is aware of, the file is no longer open. You could reopen it, but yeah, this is an easy fix, and I'm a little mad at myself for forgetting about it. But so what we're going to do is instead just say file. We're going to open a new temp file. We're going to do file.write, catx.reply with, and we're going to reply with document. And then afterwards, we're going to delete the file. So we're going to do file.delete, I'm pretty sure. Let's go up. Let's see. Size, path, inspect. Yeah, delete. So make sure to delete the file at the end there. And this should be it. If I was correct, temp file should be open, gets sent, gets deleted, and that's that. So let's convert PNG. It's going to convert it, send it. Oh. File must be non-empty. So I think I know what the problem is here. Oh, what am I doing? So I think that upon writing to the file, we're then setting the IO's position in the file at the end, so we also need to rewind it. At least I hope that this is the problem, because I can't really think of another thing. I don't do a whole ton of file handling inside of Crystal generally. I'm usually working at like a web level or I don't know. And the API changes every now and then, so I guess we'll see. We shall see. Let's open this again, run it again. We can see, like, at least the methods are correct. Like, I'm not hitting a error compiling. Make sure we're not getting any errors. Look at that. Except it's sending a document.dat, which is not exactly what we want. I mean, it is, it's the file we want, but let's see if we can do something about setting the name of the file as we send it. Because that's just not ideal. So the thing is, I think it's getting the file name directly from the file. But this temporary file does have a name, so that shouldn't be an issue. And all we can set here is like a caption, reply to message, reply markup. I think the problem is actually in Tourmaline. And I think I know exactly where it is. So let's do another dive into this code. We're going to go to Tourmaline, client this time. Let's close this guy. Scroll down here a little ways. We can get to where we do our file handling. So we've got our includes media method, which checks if there's a file included. And this is the case actually where I need to check for a buffer. Attach form value. Yeah. Here is our here's our problem right here. So when file name equals and it takes the ID helpers default extensions ID .dat all that. We don't want to use the ID for the file name. That is and then actually it does the same thing here. That's not ideal, and that's why we're getting the dat extension. Where's that ID coming from? It's here, attach form value. If I go up here, attach form value, form key to a string, value. Alright, this could end up being a fairly simple fix, or it could not. So I'm not going to do it on the stream. We do have what I wanted to do working if I were to say convert this to a WebP file, and then if we were to go save this, and let's save it to my desktop here, and we're going to save it as let's actually just save it exactly as it has it here. Open up a new tab, cd desktop, and then we're going to use trying to remember the method to use ImageMagick to get info. Font frame, interlace. Print image information, dash verbose. Let's try that. No, it's just fine. Okay, let's try putting that before verbose. Okay, this is where we look up documentation. Get file info. Identify. That's what we need. Oop. If I can spell identify. Unable to open image. Oh. WebP. There we go. 8-bit sRGB. Wonderful. Whereas if I go let's take the original image here and save that to the desktop. It says it's a JPEG. and it is indeed a JPEG. So, if I look at the size of them, you can see document2.dat. This is actually smaller in size than the JPEG. So, there you are. It worked. Is it completely ideal? No. Is it done? No. I'm going to do a lot more work with this, but I just kind of wanted to show a little bit of what I go through writing Crystal, working with this library that I've been developing for the past quite a while now. It's still got some fleshing out to do. People need to use it, file issues if you run into something, if there's an error that you're not sure of, or there's a something that needs better documentation, or an API that is unintuitive and needs changing. I'm very open to suggestions always. But this does work, and this is just the first step. I'm going to go in now and update Tourmaline so that it actually returns the name of the file rather than just document.dat, because that's not ideal. And we'll go from there. You should see an update to Tourmaline very soon here. So thank you for watching. If you liked this video, and you stuck with me the whole time, and you want to see more like it, please consider giving a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel. I appreciate all the support that I've gotten thus far. It's only been a few days, and the support has been overwhelming. So I thank you for that, and continue to check in for more content, hopefully daily. For the time being, at least. And with that, bye.